Hello, everyone. Melissa here. How are you doing? I'm so excited to be here again for another weekly live. If you're joining me live, come in, say hello. Let me know where you're joining me from and how are things in your part of the world. We have a great topic today, and I'm really excited to speak about it. I know it's been a challenging year now that 2021 is winding down. It's been a challenging year for everyone. I mean, personally, my husband and I got COVID earlier this year. We got COVID in April, and we also had the death of two family members this year. So it's been a really, really challenging year for myself, my family, and I know that you too might have your story to tell. It's been a challenging year for everyone. But nonetheless, we thank God that we're still here. And for those of you in the group, you have businesses, it's, you have an opportunity to plan for next year. Now, ideally, it's something that you should have done already, but if you haven't, it's an ideal time to start doing so now. And I'm excited to share 7 hot tips to help you to prepare your business for next year. Hello, Yvonne. How are you, my darling? So lovely to see you, Yvonne. It's been a while. Lovely to see you. How are you doing? How is your family doing? So while she's typing, I'm going to dive right into it. And of course, some of the things I'm going to share might sound a bit obvious, yes, but I'm also going to put my unique spin to things. And the first one, definitely, which I say is obvious, is to evaluate your year. You've got to evaluate 2021. You know, there are many business, especially if you're running a small business, we tend to think that, hey, we just go with the flow and just continue business as usual. But it's the wrong approach to take. The year has ended. You've got to evaluate your year so that you can have a better business year next year. So you've got to start evaluating, for instance, your income and expenses. Look at those sales report and identify which of your products or services did better this year. You got better results on this year. And like for me, for instance, my wealth magnet product that did really, really well this year. Which services of yours, my business service, my business coaching did well this year. Whereas I may have had other products that didn't do so well this year. So you've got to own up to it. There's nothing wrong with that. I remember Bob Proctor saying, he created so many products that didn't sell. And each time it didn't sell, he would say, you know what? It's just another idea that didn't work out. And here's a chance to try again, right? So you've got to have an honest evaluation, an honest review of your products and services, what did well, what didn't do so well. And here's something else you need to evaluate: your marketing efforts. Which of your marketing efforts this year did very well? You're supposed to have different marketing strategies. I too, in my business, come up with different marketing strategies. So some of your marketing strategies for me, some of my marketing strategies that worked well is, for instance, when I prepare. So like right now, I'm working on something called hashtag 10 days on your money. So when I have, as part of my visibility campaign, I prepare a number of posts and then I might do a live training on that topic. I find that really, really works well for me. So in your business, which of your marketing campaigns work really, really well for you? I sometimes I market on different platforms on different days, and I notice that too works for me. What works well for you and what didn't work so well for you? You need to take an honest look at those marketing efforts. Which of those marketing efforts now generated the most returns? Yvonne is saying that everyone is fine, thank God, and she's lost lots of friends this year, not many to COVID. My sincere condolences, Yvonne. I can totally relate as well. There's the family members we lost as well. They were not related to COVID, but it's really sad. It's really been a challenging and tough year for many, many, if not most, or the majority of people. But we thank God that we're still here. So, which of those marketing efforts now really worked well for you to market your products and your services? What didn't work so well? Which partnerships have been beneficial for you? Did you find yourself networking and partnering with certain people this year and it has been productive? Which of those partnerships worked well for you? Now, here's the other thing. Many times we tend to evaluate solely in terms of finances. And because you didn't generate the expected revenue, you fail to see your growth. Did you partner with someone who, through that partnership, you were able to add 500 subscribers to your list? or 100 new members to your social media group, your Facebook group. So you've got to recognize that growth is not only financial. You've got to recognize other areas of growth that are also important for your business, because growing your email list is also important for your business. Growing your Facebook group is also important for your business. Having those partnerships that work well for win-win for both of you, this is also important for your business. So which of those partnerships have been really beneficial for you? Where did you experience growth in 2021? Another question. Where did you experience significant growth in 2021? Is it with your subscriber growth? Is it with followers? Is it with your social media groups? For instance, in one of my groups, I now have 7,600 members, and I experienced significant growth there, and we've got to find those areas. We tend to always be, how should I put it? Because of the way we're trained by society, we filter out the positive and we can only see the negative. But it's time to evaluate the good and the bad, what worked and what didn't work. And don't just sum up what worked in terms of revenue only. Revenue is important, but you've got to look at all the other aspects. And this is why I'm also mentioning these other topics. So did you grow your email list this year? Did you grow your followers this year? Did you grow your social media group this year? What about your email marketing efforts? How has that been? You've got to evaluate that for 2021 and be honest with yourself. I was speaking with a colleague and she was like, I haven't emailed my group, my list for a while, for months, and I think my list is probably dead. So if that's the case and you still want to continue with email marketing, as a matter of fact, I do recommend, if you're an entrepreneur, you need to have your email list. I'm sure many of you can recall a couple of weeks ago when Facebook shut down. What if Facebook just crash and we lose our group? I don't know, anything happens and then suddenly you go into your group and it has no members because Facebook crashed. So it's really, really important to also focus your efforts on getting those people from your those followers in social media onto your email list. So it's important also to evaluate your email marketing efforts for 2021. Yvonne says I was an active local in-person networker. Excellent, Yvonne. Thank you so much for sharing. Transitioning to online networking was one area of growth for me. Thank you for sharing, Yvonne. And I do concur with you. Transitioning to online, it takes patience, and nurturing the process. And I congratulate you, Yvonne, in the growth you've experienced in that area. Now, the second hot tip is to create projections for next year. Now it's time to look forward to the new year. You've acknowledged the areas where you've grown, you've experienced growth, you've acknowledged or you recognize the products or services that do well. Now, something also to bear in mind in your evaluation, you could have a product or service, and I'll share this as a personal story. The first time, one product in particular, I'll share, like Wealth Magnet. The first time I sold this to my list, it didn't sell, right? But then I tweaked the name of the product. I think I'd call it Accelerator. And then I changed it to Wealth Magnet. So what's the name now? Wealth Magnet Accelerator. I had a different name before, Wealth something, but it didn't sell. So what's important to bear in mind is in evaluating your products or services, do this delicately. And once you are sure that the product or service you are offering responds to the needs of your customers, it doesn't mean you have to crash it totally. It could mean that you just need to change your copy. You may need to change your sales, modify your sales page, or just modify the title of the product, or just change the way that you sell the product. Or for instance, you may need to evaluate something I'll get to later on, evaluate your own confidence in selling that product. So in creating your projections for next year, important to take in mind, yes, those products that did very well, that you can continue to sell, but are there any products that didn't do too well, but it is a need nonetheless in the market? And this may need some revisiting of your copywriting, revisiting of your copy, revisiting of the name or the graphics, so on and so forth. But it's time to create those projections for next year. So based on those marketing efforts that worked well, based on the information from your sales report, then you can create a projection based on that. You should also make a projection on your expenses. Do you have any expenses for next year that will be increased or decreased? Right? So, for instance, maybe next year you tend to join some membership bodies. Maybe next year you tend to become premium member in a particular business group, or you intend to hire a coach. So, make those projections as well and put that in there. What about new promotional strategies? What new promotional strategies can you consider in your planning for next year? For instance, you may consider a new promotional strategy of going live every day. I'm not saying you have to do this for example purposes, or maybe going live on a particular platform where your ideal client hangs out, or maybe a promotional strategy where you want to really up your email marketing campaign, where you go through that process, of course, of nurturing your email subscribers and then marketing to them. So, what are the new promotional strategies that you want to adopt next year? You put that in there too. Are there any areas where you intend to increase your prices? So, for instance, if you're a coach and you have a particular service that's been doing very well, is it time to reconsider increasing your price? And if so, then you need to email your list, of course, and let them know, get this offer before the price increases, so on and so forth. But do you intend to increase any of your prices next year? And set a month, a date, and a time for that. Any new email marketing strategies that you intend to use to your subscriber list, or any new strategies so you can increase your following. So all this you have to put in your projections for next year. I remember this year, and I'm going to share this honestly. It was the month of March when I started. I think it was March or April. I started one of my Facebook groups, Manifestation Powerhouse, that shows people how to create, attract, and manifest their desires, right? And I had set a projection at that time to grow my group to 10,000. I set that my projection earlier this year to achieve that, right? So you've got to set even a projection for growing your following. I was on a webinar call 2 weeks ago with a coach, and she was saying that she plans to grow her following. Her group. She has about 100,000 members in her group, and she said that her next task is to try to increase her YouTube following, to try to grow her YouTube following. So don't just think that projections is all about how much money I can bring in, because all these other things contribute to your financial growth. All these other things contribute to growing your revenue in your business. So also put in that projection plan any strategies to increase your following, whether it's your email list, whether it's your Facebook group, whether it's your LinkedIn following, whether it's your Instagram following, whatever it is, where your ideal client hangs out, right? Now, the third hot tip is to create a plan for new projects, courses, or programs for the coming year. So start to think about those pain points. Those things that your ideal client is struggling with that you don't yet have a product for. Do you want to prepare a program, a course, or perhaps offer a service that responds to that need? Begin to create that list and have that written down. If you want to put a deadline to it, so be it. I'm a person, I work with deadlines. I work better with deadlines. So even though I'm running my own business, I still put deadlines for myself. I don't have my book here, I would have showed it to you. I still do put my deadlines for myself, even though I'm running my own business. And if you aren't, I will recommend that you do so as well, just to have that best practice of productivity. It really helps you to stay on top of things. So if you want to put a deadline for those new projects, then do go ahead and do so. The fourth hot tip, the fourth hot tip I'm getting to now is to make a list. And this one is my own unique spin, because and I was speaking to one of my clients recently about this, and she was like, "Oh my, Melissa, I hadn't thought about that." I am sure if you're able to look back now, you will be able to identify whether it's 10, whether it's 15 persons with whom, potential clients with whom you need to follow up with. So, my fourth hot tip is to begin to make a list of those potential clients that you need to start following up with. You don't need to start it immediately. You could start it next year when the new year comes. I mean, it's the Christmas season and the holiday season. You let people enjoy the holidays, that's fine. But begin to create a list of all those potential clients that you need to follow up with, persons who expressed interest in your services, persons who attended a clarity call with you and they were interested in your service but couldn't at the time afford to pay you, persons who have been following you. They're attending your live all the time. They want to work with you, and perhaps have mentioned how much they really appreciate what you do and would one day love to work with you. It's time to create that list of persons that you could, potential clients that you could follow up with, where you can close that product or service that you can offer them to help them solve their biggest problem. My fifth hot tip, of course, is to assess, and this one is my unique spin. I don't think you'll hear this anywhere. Assess your mindset for 2021. Because one thing I've learned, and I'm sure if you're watching me live or if you're watching the replay, I'm sure Yvonne will agree, and any of you watching me live or even watching the replay will agree that mindset in business is important. To be an entrepreneur, it takes grit. I struggled in the beginning because I was coming from an employee mindset to an employer mindset. All my life, I've worked as an employee, as a teacher. I've worked as a training consultant at one time. I worked as an assistant HR manager. I worked as an administration manager. But all those occasions, regardless of how wonderful the job was an employee. I had a job description. I did what was within the boundaries of my job, and I had a payday to sign. So when I was coming out of that employee to now being an employer, definitely required a shift in my mindset. Mindset is critical, and I think this is an area that many entrepreneurs ignore when they're doing the end of year review. You've got to review as well your mindset. How have you grown in 2021? What limiting beliefs you've let go of in 2021? What limiting beliefs are still standing in your way? What habits have you changed? What bad habits that are stopping you from reaching your goals that are still standing in your way? You know, do you still, how should I say this? Um, do you still make excuses? Is it negative self talk? Really evaluate your mindset, evaluate your thoughts, evaluate your actions and behavior throughout 2021, and how it has helped you to grow or how it has been a setback in your business. And really take that honest look at your inner self, because now when you're ready to face 2022, recognizing, hey, I've come from being this negative person, or I've come from being a person who didn't have the confidence I needed at the beginning of the year, and now the year has ended and I feel so confident. I'm clear about what I'm going to do. I say my affirmations daily, I meditate daily, and I now have good habits. I take care of myself, I engage in good self-care activities, and I'm ready to face 2022 with a bang, knowing that I can do this and I can achieve my goals. Or are you still at the point where it's tough? It's really tough for me with my mindset. Maybe it's time for me to think about getting help, whether it's working with a mindset coach, or maybe it's time for me to take time out daily to invest in my inner work. So evaluate your mindset also, mindset and habits for 2021. And my seventh hot tip to help you to prepare your business for next year is to make a list of all your wins in 2021. And when I was doing this, it was really exciting. It was really, it opened my mind because I began to recognize wins are not only financial. Financial wins are great and important in your business, undeniably. But it got me to explore areas in my business where I have grown, areas in my business that have been successful, and that are important for the bottom line. And I'm encouraging you to do the same. So you sit down at the end of 2021 and you make a list of all those areas that you've grown. I'll come to the chat. All those areas in your business where you've experienced wins. So yes, your financial wins, wins in your mindset, wins in habit, wins with partnership, wins with subscriber growth, wins with Facebook, your Facebook group growing, wins with your podcast, wins with your What else? New products that you've sold. Maybe you've become an author now. You've finally gotten that book out there. What are those list of wins that you have in your business? Make a list of all those wins, acknowledge them, and then express gratitude to the divine. I always believe in thanking the Lord. Express gratitude to the divine for all those wins that you've accomplished for 2021, and look forward to 2022 with expectation. Because you see, when you evaluate it this way, as I've outlined to you, and then when you end this with your wins, it stirs that spirit of that strong expectation now for the next year. And you can clearly see areas, you have your projections, you know on what ground you stand to start off 2022, and you have an idea of how your business is going to go for 2022 because you've created those projections, your mindset, you have your mindset ready, and you know what your strengths are. You've understood, well, hey, these are some of my fantastic wins, and you carry them with you, and you be thankful for that. And you start the new year in gratitude. So I just want to end. Before I do so, let me just read Yvonne's comment. Deadlines are critical to goal achievement, part of the SMART goal system. You absolutely right, Yvonne, spot on. They're part of the SMART goal system. And I have found with some entrepreneurs, especially when I speak with clients, that sometimes because we are small business owners or we work from home, that sometimes we don't tend to put those deadlines. But like Yvonne rightfully said, it's part of the SMART goal system, and it is the best approach to take in your business. Set those deadlines and stick to them. If for some reason you didn't meet those deadlines, I actually put a note as to why I didn't meet that deadline, because you're keeping yourself accountable. Yvonne says, I agree, mindset is critical. Absolutely right. Mindset is critical, and that's why I incorporated as part of your review for 2021. Review your mindset. And you certainly will get a boost of confidence when you realize that perhaps at the beginning of the year or at some point in the year, perhaps you went through depression, or perhaps you went through a downside because it's been a challenging year for everyone. But now, hey, at the end of this year, you find yourself in a position where you feel much hopeful, you have expectation, you've grown, you've got grit, you've seen the grit in you has come out. At least I can say the grit in me has come out. Definitely has come out. And I'm sure you can say the same too. So do evaluate your mindset so that you can start 2022 off with the right mindset and knowing exactly how you're going to approach the beginning and the rest of the year to have the success that you desire. Yvonne says, excellent content, Melissa. Have an amazing day heading to my next appointment. Great idea about the list, as we often ignore small wins. You're absolutely right, Yvonne. Thank you so much for joining me live, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Every win matter, big or small, because those small wins are the wins that get you to the big one eventually. So don't ignore your wins. Make a list of all those wins, big or small. And I want to just wish you the best. Before you begin this exercise, I'll close with this. Before, when you sit down and you say, okay, I'm going to dedicate the next 3 hours to evaluating my 2021 and preparing for 2022. Here's something I love to do: clear your energy, relax your mind, take a couple deep breaths. I love to align myself with the divine. You say a prayer that He guides you in all that you do. You clear your energy so you're in the right headspace, and then you begin this task. And then by the end of it, you're going to feel that confidence, that excitement to carry on with your business. Kudos to all of you entrepreneurs doing what you do, because you're providing a wonderful product or service to society. I want to wish you the good rest of your day. And for those of you watching the replay, I do hope that you found today's training valuable. I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.